My wife and I raised 4 children, all went through the Burke County school system. 2 of them actually made it, and 2 of them went away for a while to a church-based school where the light finally went on. They came back, finished, got their Burke County diplomas. 3 of them finished their education and have moved on in life, starting families and successful careers. 1 is still a student out at the University of Nevada in Reno, where he's a sophomore, junior, senior, and doing well. My business career spans 37 years. I currently own and operate a company that manufactures industrial fans. We actually make things out of metal, ship them across the country and around the world. Now, all this sounds pretty good, but let me back up and give you a little history. I got out of school back in 1972 with a degree in economics. My wife and I got married in 74. We had our first child in 79. During the first 10 years of marriage, we had 3 children and moved 9 times while I tried different ventures. Not long ago, I was down the basement going through some old files, and I found a tax return from 1981. In 1981, I had a negative income of $6,037. I actually filed a 1040 with the IRS for negative $6,037. So I took this upstairs and showed it to my wife. And guys, you've got to know that whatever you're going through, the women are going through something else on the other side. I showed this to her, and she said, you know, at that time, we had a 2-year-old, a 6-month-old, and she was pregnant again. We had no health insurance. And one of her biggest concerns was that the hospital wasn't going to let us back in because we hadn't finished paying for the second child. Silly as that sounds now, it was a real concern for a young housewife. Well, a year later, in 1982, I lost my businesses. We were forced to sell our house. We actually had to pay money at closing because we owed more on the house than we sold it for. But we didn't have enough money even to do closing. The realtor actually wrote a check to help us with closing costs, just so we could get rid of our house. And I still owed the government over $50,000 in back taxes due to the business losses. So what did we do? Well, first of all, we moved again, which we were pretty good at by this time. We rented a house and we started over. Now let's fast forward to today. Since that time, I started 11 businesses. 2 of them made the Inc. 500 list for the 500 fastest growing companies in America. They say there are roughly 87,000 companies here in the United States. Less than 5% of them do over $1 million a year. I started 2 of them. Now earlier I said I have a company that manufactures fans and we sell them all over the world. That means I have negotiated and done business in Canada, Mexico, Central America, Brazil, the United Kingdom, Russia, all across Europe to Greece. We were the sole fan supplier to the Greek Olympics in 2004 and hope to be again in London in 2012. I've negotiated and done business in Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and China. We actually export fans to China, something we're pretty proud of. So what does all this mean with what we're talking about today? Well, with a successful marriage of 35 years, happy, successful children, successful business, it means I'm a problem solver, a real world problem solver, dealing with the issues that you have every day. I know what you're going through, I know what it's like. And what is the biggest problem confronting our country today? It's this wave after wave of socialism pounding against our Constitution, eroding our freedoms. I know most of you have been to the beach before and you've seen these mighty waves rolling along unimpeded. Well, eventually, there's a force in nature that steps up and says to those proud waves, thus far and no farther. Well, we need to be that force that steps up to these angry waves of socialism and says, thus far and no farther. And then, as in nature, we need to begin rolling back those waters, rebuilding our Constitution, reestablishing our freedoms. And while we're doing this, we can't ignore the problems of jobs, education, the economy, healthcare, Social Security, taxes. We need answers to those problems. So where do we get answers? Well, we get them from the people. We get them from you. How often is it up to us, we the people? These problems weren't caused by nature. They were caused by people, and people have the answers. We will get these answers from us, we the people. I'm going to repeat the words of Winston Churchill and see if they don't sound even more familiar to you now. Laws, just and unjust, may govern men's actions. Tyrannies may restrain or regulate their words. The machinery of propaganda may pack their minds with falsehoods and deny them truths for many generations of time. But the soul of man, thus held in trance or frozen in a long night, can be awakened by a spark coming from God knows where. And in a moment, the whole structure of lies and oppression is on trial for its life. My name is Vance Patterson. I'm a neighbor of yours from Burke County, and I'm running for Congress here in the 10th District of Western North Carolina. I ask you to engage this process. You do your part, and I'll do mine. The Republican primary is on May 4th. That's the first Tuesday in May. And I know that sounds like a long way away, but there is so much to be done. If you work with me, together we can make this a campaign of the real world, by the people of the real world, to take the real world to Washington. Bottom line, and most important part you have, is to vote. Vote for your family and mine. Vote for the future generations we'll never meet. Vote to send me against the liberal, progressive, socialist movement. I am ready.